The maitre d' recognized me the moment we stepped into Le Mars, arguably the most exclusive French restaurant in the city. His eyes flickered with recognition, but his demeanor remained flawlessly professional. "Good evening," Diana announced with her usual air of entitlement. "Reservation for Walker, party of 4. I stayed a few steps behind as my parents and sister strutted inside, their designer outfits and carefully curated arrogance on full display. They hadn't wanted me at this birthday dinner, but to keep up appearances, of course, the eldest Walker daughter had to be present. "This way, please," the maitre d' said, guiding us through the elegant dining room. I noticed the subtle glances from the staff, discreet nods of familiarity they tried to hide. Diana eyed my simple black dress with a smirk. "Surprised you didn't show up in one of your bargain bin specials, Sarah. Some of us prefer to spend our money elsewhere," I said, calm. "Right, on rent for your shoebox apartment," she whispered with a smug grin. Mom shot her a sharp look. "Girls, it's your father's birthday." Dad was already frowning at the wine list. "These prices are criminal." I held back a smile. I knew the real costs behind those numbers. Diana leaned toward Mom and muttered just loud enough for me to hear, "Think Sarah needs to check the prices first, wouldn't want her to embarrass herself." That's when our waiter approached, Jean-Luc, one of my top employees. I watched my family barely glance at him, already dismissing him as just another server. "Maybe stick to an appetizer, Sarah," Diana added, flipping through the menu. Jean-Luc interrupted, addressing me with quiet familiarity. "Welcome back, Miss Walker. Your usual table was taken by another party, but I trust this one is acceptable." Dad sputtered. Mom froze. Diana looked like someone had slapped her. "It's perfect, Jean-Luc, thank you," I said smoothly. "Would you like your usual wine? The 1982 Bordeaux?" "Yes, please." Dad visibly blanched. That bottle cost more than his golf club dues. Mom's voice trembled. "Sarah, what is going on?" I sipped my water. "Oh, didn't I mention? I bought Le Mars 6 months ago, and the rest of the restaurant group." Diana blinked. "But, you live in that tiny apartment, you wear normal clothes." "Because I want to. I don't need labels or square footage to prove anything." Jean-Luc returned with the wine, presenting it gracefully. "An excellent choice, Miss Walker. Shall I have Chef Michel prepare your favorite soufflé for dessert?" "Yes, please, and bring out the full tasting menu. We're celebrating, after all." He nodded and left, leaving behind a stunned, silent table. My phone buzzed, probably another update from London about the new location we're opening, but it could wait. Right now, I wanted to enjoy this meal, and the quiet realization sinking into my family's minds. The daughter they pitted owned everything around them. Sometimes, you don't need to announce your success. You just have to let them choke on it while they're too busy mocking you. Dad took a long gulp of water, probably wishing it was something stronger. Across from me, Diana was subtly typing under the table, no doubt Googling the ownership of the restaurant group she was now dining under. I didn't bother hiding my smile. I casually opened the menu, though I knew it by heart. Tonight was going to be unforgettable. The tasting menu began to arrive, each course more exquisite than the last. Chef Michel was clearly showing off, aware that I was here. Meanwhile, my family sat stiffly, awkward silence stretching between them as they picked at their food, trying to digest more than just the meal. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. "So, how exactly did all this happen?" I took a slow sip of the Bordeaux, smooth, aged to perfection, like this moment. "Remember the MBA you refused to fund?" I said, "the one you called a waste of money, because I chose restaurant management instead of joining Diana in finance?" He shifted uncomfortably. Diana suddenly found her foie gras fascinating. "Well," I continued, "turns out there's a big market for revolutionizing fine dining operations. My company now owns 32 restaurants across 3 continents." Mom's fork slipped from her hand and clattered against her plate. 32? I nodded, including Le Cirque in New York, Lame One in Paris, and that charming little spot in London where you celebrated your anniversary last year. You said getting a reservation was impossible. Diana's cheeks went scarlet. "That's why they seated us so fast when I dropped our name." "Exactly," I said, "though you really should be kinder to the staff. They report everything." Jean-Luc returned with the next course, a perfectly seared scallop dish, not on the menu. "Chef Michel's latest creation," he announced. "He'd like your opinion before we add it to the tasting list, Miss Walker." Dad blinked, trying to do the math. The same man who once said I was wasting my future not joining his investment firm was now realizing he couldn't afford the company I built. The London location opens next month, I added, tasting the scallop. We're booked out for the next 3. Mom looked stunned. But you told us you couldn't afford to come with us to London last summer. I didn't, I said simply. I was already there, overseeing construction. I stayed at my penthouse, not the family hotel. Diana's phone buzzed, likely a message from a friend realizing who actually owned their favorite hangout. Is that why you never moved out of that tiny apartment? She asked. Never bought designer anything? I don't need to perform success, I said. I invest in what matters, paying my staff fairly, offering healthcare, education benefits, creating something that lasts, not just appearances. The sommelier appeared with another bottle. Miss Walker, that investment group is here again. They're asking about the acquisition. I nodded. Tell them what we always do, Philippe. He smiled. Not for sale, at any price. Dad's glass slipped slightly in his hand. Investment group? He asked. Morgan Stanley, I said, almost casually. They've made multiple offers. Last week, 12 times earnings. The expression on his face, realizing the same firm he worshipped was chasing the daughter he once dismissed, was worth more than the Bordeaux. Mom leaned forward, her voice soft. Why didn't you tell us? We've been worried about you living so modestly. Because success isn't about appearances, Mom, it's about building something real. I gestured around us. Every inch of this, I built without your money, without your contacts. No trust fund, just work, vision, and belief. Diana, who had been quiet for once, spoke up with a fake laugh. So, about those reservations. You'll still need to book in advance, I said smoothly. And don't be surprised if you hit a waitlist, especially at places where the staff remembers you. Jean-Luc returned, this time pushing the dessert cart, Chef Michel's signature soufflé, paired with a rare vintage port. Happy birthday, Dad, I said, raising my glass. Consider dinner my treat, just like every time you've dined in one of my restaurants this past year. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't just owning the restaurant. It's letting them realize they've been enjoying your generosity the whole time, while thinking you needed theirs. The port was exquisite, almost as satisfying as watching them try to swallow their pride with their dessert. As coffee was served, the dynamic at the table had shifted. Diana's smugness had melted into forced compliments. Mom kept throwing me glances, half admiration, half disbelief. And Dad, he stayed quiet, calculating everything he'd never thought I could become. And I sat back, perfectly at ease, and enjoyed every single moment of it. Mom kept dropping names, friends of hers who would love to invest in my next venture. Dad, for the most part, sat in stunned silence, no doubt recalling all the times he'd bragged about Diana's junior role at his firm while dismissing my little restaurant job. Jean-Luc approached once more. Ms. Walker, Chef Michel requests your presence in the kitchen when convenient. The London menu awaits your final approval. Diana perked up instantly. Oh, can I come? I'd love to see. I smiled politely. The kitchen is for staff and owners only. Health regulations, you understand. Mom quickly pivoted. Darling, let us host a celebration. Imagine, our daughter, such a successful restaurant owner. I finished for her. Funny, that wasn't something worth celebrating when you thought I was just managing a single location. The sommelier returned, presenting a sleek folder. The wine list for London. Ms. Walker, also, Mr. Thompson called again regarding the Tokyo opening. Dad's head snapped up. Tokyo opens next spring, I said, though I'm sure Diana can tell you all about it. She was in Paris last month, trying to drop the Walker name for a table at my restaurant. Diana flushed. I didn't know that. That the staff would tell me? I asked, arching a brow. That every rude remark, every complaint about prices, every attempt to impress with my last name would make its way back. I stood, smoothing out my dress, unassuming black, but hand-stitched by a Parisian atelier. Simple, yes, cheap, not even close. If you'll excuse me, I need to speak with my chef. But it's your father's birthday, Mom said weakly. And I've paid for it, I replied, as I've paid for every meal you've eaten in my establishments. I turned to Jean-Luc. Please make sure my family has everything they need, and kindly add the usual gratuity to their bill. There, Bill, Diana blinked. Of course, I said, with a pleasant smile. Just because I own the place doesn't mean it's free. That wouldn't be good business, would it, Dad? In the kitchen, Chef Michel greeted me with his usual warmth. He walked me through the final touches of the London menu. We reviewed seasonal dishes, wine pairings, even plating designs. Through the kitchen's observation window, I could still see my family, now huddled together, trying to piece it all together. My phone buzzed. A message from Diana. I'm sorry, for everything, for how we treated you. Then from Mom, we were wrong, so wrong. And finally, from Dad, I never saw it, your vision, your potential, can we talk, please? I typed one reply. Reservations required, 3-month waitlist, no exceptions. Then I turned back to Chef Michel's creations. To the empire I built while they weren't watching. To the woman they underestimated, until she was too far ahead to catch. Later that night, I returned to my apartment, the entire top floor of a historic building downtown. Minimalist, by choice. I didn't need chandeliers or gold fixtures to feel successful. I paused by the framed headline from years ago. Unknown buyer transforms struggling restaurant into culinary empire. Unknown. Underestimated. Unstoppable. I picked up my phone and sent one last message to the family group chat. Next time you judge someone's worth, remember, the person you're looking down on might just own the ground you're standing on. Then I opened my laptop to finalize the Tokyo expansion plans. Because true success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right, again and again. And sometimes, the most satisfying flavor isn't found in the perfect soufflé or the rarest wine. It's in the moment they realize they've been dining inside your success all along.